Hi everyone. Hello. Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. I feel very happy to present this workshop and discuss about its possibilities. I'm Sukanya, one of the HR from Maltos Technologies, and I will be one who hosts for today's workshop. And our topic is live project workshop for beginners React.js. Audience should note one thing that we will only provide a certificate who successfully completed our workshop, and I would like to welcome our speaker Shefna for this wonderful presentation. So welcome Shefna.
Hello, good evening, everyone. First of all, a very warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for joining here with us today. I'm Shafna Sharif, developer at Altos Technology. Today, I'm going to conduct a workshop with React.js, and the topic with React.js. So, in this project, we are going to build a to-do app with CRUD operations. So, let's get started from the basics. And one thing, if you will have any doubts or queries during this section, you can ask it in the message box. Okay, so let's get started. So, live project workshop for beginners with React.js. So, before we start, you should have to know about React.js. So, what is React.js? React.js is a free and open source front-end JavaScript library developed in 2011 by the Facebook engineer Jordan Walk, and it is used for building interactive user interfaces and web applications quickly and efficiently with less code. So React.js is a free and open source front-end JavaScript library. People often used it to say React is a JavaScript framework or React is a JavaScript library. So purely React.js is a JavaScript library. Okay, so let's see how to build a React app. Uh, so here are the requirements for creating a React app. First of all, we need a browser. You can use Chrome, Google Chrome, and an IDE, a text editor. I suggest Visual Studio Code. And at last, you need Node.js. Okay, Node.js is to be installed in your system, and you don't have to bother about Node.js. It is only using here for installing some new updates and packages for our application. So basically, it uses as a Node package manager, that is npm. So to perform npm commands, we need to install Node.js. That's it. So let's open the Visual Studio Code. Okay, here I just created a folder workshop for building our application. So open the folder in our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so then open the terminal. Here the terminal, then new terminal. Or you can simply open the terminal by clicking Ctrl plus C. So here we use the commands and here we write the commands for creating a React app. First you need to create a React app. So that write the command npx create npx space create hyphen React app. Then my app. Here my app is the app name that I'm going to create. You can give names that based on your requirements. Okay, I just give a name my app. So then enter. So it will take some time to load our complete application packages. So here the my app folder is created and it takes some time. So npx create React app my app. So my app is the app name. So you can give the name that you want. Okay, so I just create an app with name my app, and then after creating my app, after creating our app, then cd my app, then execute the command cd my app. The cd command is used to enter into our directory or enter into our application. Then for run this application, you need to execute the command npm start. So npm start is to run our newly created application. So that's it. So it takes some time. Please wait until it gets fully loaded. So here we can see packages are getting download installed, and so these are the packages. So in the node module, so look into the details. Okay. So in the node module folder, it contains all the dependencies required by the React app, and it contains lots of dependencies and libraries that we need to build a React app. And don't bother about this section. This is only some libraries that automatically created when the app is getting started. Okay. So here is a public folder also, an SRC folder. So the app is created. After creating our app, then we need to, if now we are in the workshop folder, so we need to enter into our my app folder. So that cd space my app, our application name. Then enter. Okay. So you can see the path. Here we are in the my app folder. So we want to run the application by executing the command npm start. Okay. It will also take some time to load our application. So let's see the details. So the node modules contain the libraries and packages or the dependencies that need to build a React app. And in the public folder contains some static files. So here are the static files, and so the performance. So and all other codes that we see in our web page is from the SRC folder. Okay, here we can see a source folder or a SRC folder. The contents from the web page or the web application is from the SRC folder. So it's loading here. The application is loading. So this is the basic React app. When we create basic React app here, using the command npx create React app. So let's have a look into its details. This is our app created using the command npx create React app. It is the default application. So here you can see a title React app, then a logo of React, then some contents. So let's see where this title is get from. So in our code, when we open the public folder, there is an index.html file. So here we can see there is a title React app. So it is getting displayed on the browser. So React app. And the contents is from the source folder. In app.js file in the SRC folder, we can see edit source app.js and save to reload. That's it. That's the content. This content is displayed from the source folder. Okay. So let's change the title to my app. So here is the title React app. I just changed the title to something my app. Okay, then save it. Okay, Webpack compiled successfully. Then open the browser. Then we can see the title is getting changed. My React app is changed to my app. Okay, so we can see the title get changed. And what about the contents? And it is from the source folder. Now let's clear it, and here we can change based on our app requirement. Okay, so in the app React down.create root document.get element by ID root. So this code is for here we just importing the app component. So in app.js we can see a function is created. So in React every function is known as the component. So here app is a component here. So let's see what's a reusable component. In React, it allows reusable components. So what is reusable component? It saves time for components as they don't have to write various codes for the same feature. Furthermore, if any changes are made in any particular part, it will not affect other parts of the application. So here is a demonstration. Header, content, and footer are different components, and they are combined together to get the result of this web page. So components are reusable components. So that is one of the most attractive feature in React. We can reuse the components in anywhere at any time. Okay. So so that's it. So app is a component here. We just import the app component in the index.js file in source folder. So we can see here a line of code document.getElement by id root. So here this app component is going to replace the content content of a div with the id root. So uh, in the index.html, we can see a div with id root. So this div is going to replace with the contents from the app.js. So all other components are get to get in this position. So this div with the id root. So that is this line of code means. Okay. So uh, so let's clear all these codes are basically for the this application, this basic application. So now we are going to clear the codes and files that we don't want anymore. Okay. So I just clear all other files except app.js and index.js. So we can clear all extra files. Okay. So delete. Then index.js delete. Also, expect the app.js and index.js. Other files are we don't want anymore. Okay. So just clear it. We are going to build application based on our requirement. Okay. So that's it. So when I open app.js, also clear the header, then logo also, then save it. And index.js also remove other things that we don't want. And here also, okay. Then save it. Can't resolve app.css. So, okay. So, index.js and app.js here. So, Webpack compiled successfully. I just write a title here. Which one? Hello world. So then save it. So we get the result hello world. So in React.js we using JSX. Okay. So what is JSX? JSX stands for JavaScript XML. Okay. It allows us to directly write HTML in React, and JSX convert HTML tags into React elements. It makes easier to write a React application. So JSX is the combination of JavaScript and HTML. So it allows us to directly write HTML in React. Though that is, we don't want to create any functions to create elements in React. So in this case, we use JSX. So JSX help us to directly write HTML in React, and JSX converts the HTML tags into React elements. So, okay. Then, okay. So here today we are going to create a to-do app. So this is the basic to-do app we are going to create. So here is a heading, an input field, a button, then buttons for the.
Shefna, 1 minute. Shefna. Participants who want to on the video, they can on the video, okay? Okay, continue, Shefna.
Okay, so whenever the user is enter some data and click the add button, then the data is getting displayed here, and there is 3 buttons here for some functionalities: the complete button, edit button, delete button to make changes here. Okay, so whenever we click on the delete button, the data is going to delete, and when we click on the edit button, we can edit the data. After that, when we click on the complete button, it is going to complete. It's going to strike the to do. Okay, so here we are going to create a to do app. So we clear all other data that we don't want, and in app.js, I just and in in React.js we use the JSX. So JSX, what does JSX do? It returns the HTML elements into the React. HTML elements into React. Okay. Okay, now we are going to create a component for build this to do app. So in this app source folder, create a folder named component. Then in the component folder, create a file todo.js. So todo.js. Okay. In React, components are one of the most attractive features. So that is, we can reuse it. Okay, and here we are going to also in React there is 2 types of components: functional component and class component. Many of the developers nowadays using functional component because of its ease of use. Okay, and one of the main concept in React.js is hooks. So the hooks can be only used along with the functional component. So many of the developers using functional component nowadays. Okay, so in this project we are going to create a focus on the functional component. Okay, so let's create a component for our to-do app. The syntax is function. It is same as like a function in JavaScript. Okay, so it is the same as the syntax of a function. So function, create a name for the function. I will create the function name as to do, and always remember always consider the first letter of the component should be in caps, and there is no mandatory to add the component of initial letter as caps, but it is the standard way. So then function bracket, then curly braces. So here is the function. In React.js, the function is known as a component. Okay, so here we creating a component to do. Then we going to return some HTML. So here in so we are going to return HTML tags. That is, we are going to use the JSX in this file. So return, then create an extra tag. So we are going to so we need a heading. So to do app is the heading here. So to do app. Then save it. Now we have to import this to do component to the app.js file. Okay, and this app.js file is imported in the index.js, and it is going to replace the div with the ID router, and it is going to replace the content of the div with this. Okay, so in todo.js, now we are going to import the to do component in our app.js file, our app component. Before importing the component, we need to export it. We should export the component. Then only we can import it. Okay, import it. So export default to do. Okay, so export default is a syntax. Then after that, write the name of the component. Export default to do. this is one way to export our component. Otherwise, you can also also write the export statement along with the function. Okay, that is export default. We can also write like this. These tools are similar. So I just export that in the bottom. Okay. So then import. This is a component. You can import this component anywhere at any time and as much as time that you want. So in app.js, I just going to import the todo.js file. So import our component name. So here our component name is todo. So import todo from specify the path of the todo component. So the component, so app.js, now we are in the app.js file. So we need to enter into our component. So in the current folder, component, then /todo. Okay, component folder to-do save ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. So component to-do. Then we don't have to specify .js. It's okay. .js. Don't have to specify the extension of the component. That is, it is a JS file. If you want to import any other files, that is CSS or something, then you have to specify the extension along with the path. Okay. So here we import the to-do component. Then I'll just clear the hello words. Then in between the div content, you have to import it, call the component. To call the component, use angle bracket, then our component name, then a slash and close the bracket. Okay, so our component is imported in React.js. So the webpack compiled successfully. Okay, so the result. Okay. So save it. Okay, save it. Then we get the result to do app. Okay. Now we need an input field and a add button to enter some data. Okay, for that I'm going to create a form in the todo.js file. So if you want to create a form as a component, then you can also create a different component for form. Okay, that is different component for the input, a different component for the input field and a button. So now I am using a single component here. That is not a mandatory thing. If you want different components, then you can create different components. That's up to you. Okay, so I'm just creating a single component, to-do component. All of the codes are working here. Okay, so create a form tag, and if we can see here a JavaScript. When we click on the JavaScript and type there, then enter, then the JavaScript is changed to JavaScript React. So then we can use so in HTML, when we type something, some tags, it will get the recommendation of the tag. But when we change this JavaScript to JavaScript React, then we get the recommendation of the tags or the elements that we are going to use. Okay, so now we are going to create a form tag. So we get the recommend, then enter. And one thing in React.js, the React.js follows one top level element. That is, in React.js in our JSX, it follows a one top level element. Here it shows a error. It is because of in React there is a rule. It is always wrap all other elements and nodes inside a parent element. Okay, so just copy it and create a div tag. So here div tag, I use div tag as a parent element, and inside the parent element wrap all other child nodes inside the div. So that's it. Then we can avoid the error. Okay, So it is the rule of JSX. Only and wrap the child elements in the parent element. Okay. So here is I just created a form tag. In the form tag, we need an input tag, and the text is typed. Then a placeholder. So in the way to do. Then we need a button also. Okay. So create a button. Button name is add. Okay. Then save it. Okay. So this is our application. So in this workshop, I'm just only focusing on the functionalities of the To-Do app. I'm not going to include the styling of the app. So only the functionalities. So in React, we can style. There is two types of styling. We can use the inline styling and also the external styling. For inline styling, I just create a sample. So I'm going to change the color of the To-Do app heading. So style, like the HTML, use the style attribute and not using in the style attribute and to store the values, we are not using double quotes or single quotes here. In JSX or in React, we use the curly braces to write the value. Okay, so note the thing and double curly braces. Then it is like an object. Okay, so some key value pairs. So here is a style attribute, then equal to double curly braces, then property and colon. Then inside the inside the quotes, the value of the property. So I'm going to change the color to red. So it is the inline styling in React. So here we can see there is To-Do app color is getting changed to red. And so that's it. So let's remove it. And also we can use the external styling. So in SRC folder, I just create a folder style. Then in the style folder, create a file todo.css. Okay, to style the todo.js file. Okay, so todo.js, it is like the CSS file. So here there is similar differences. JSX is almost similar to HTML, but some difference. Okay, so that's it. In HTML, we use class as the property, but in React there is class name, and always follow the camel case. Class, then n is in the caps letter. So follow the camel casing. So class name equal to then container. Okay, then save it. Then todo.css. So this is almost this is as like same as the CSS file. So dot container and container. Then we are going to make it to the center of the page. So display flex. Flex. Then justify contents to center. Align icons to center. And then flex direction as called. Okay, then save it. But we have to import it. Okay, we have to import the CSS file in our todo.js file. So that import quotes, then specify the path of the todo.css file. So dot slash so in this style folder slash todo.css. Okay, save it and refresh. Scan it. Sorry, containers. There's a spelling mistake in container. Class name. Then save it. Okay, it gets centered. So that's it. And the rest of we are not going to include the rest of the styling. only we are going to focus on the functionalities. Okay. Then now we want to access the data from the input field. Whenever user enters some data, then clicking on the add button is going to display here, so that for access our input field, we need a state. First of all, we need a state to access the data. In React.js, useState hook is one of the most popular hook that are using. So useState hook to handle the data in our application. So let's see what is the useState and the syntax of useState. So the syntax of useState is to handle data in our components. Okay. So the syntax is const state set state, and useState is the function, and pass an initial value here. So state is the variable. So state is the variable that we create. Okay. State is a variable to store the data. The data can be a string, number, object, array, etc. And set state is the function to update the state. Okay. And here useState is the function, and inside the useState, here we are passing an initial value, that is the current value of the state variable. So let's see how to create a state and how to update the state. So for creating the useState, before the always create the hooks before the any functions or any other variables that we when we want to define some variables or functions, then always before the return statement. Okay, so const, here we are going to create a state variable, then const array bracket, then a state variable. Okay, so we create the state variable for this to do the data, the user entering to do. So we want to store that to do into the state. So I just create a to do state variable, and this user defined. You can create your own states. Okay, then set to do. Set to do for updating the to do state variable, which is a function for updating the to do variable, and equal to useState, then function bracket. Then here we set the initial value of the to do variable. So initial value as an empty string. So the empty string is passed as the value of the to do. So the initial value of to do variable is an empty string. So when we using the useState, you must or you should import the state from import the useState hook. Okay, so that import, then curly braces, it's a useState hook package here. So in curly braces, useState, and from React. So from React, we just import the useState package or useState library. So here we're creating the state variables to do and set to do, and the initial value, set the initial value as an empty string. Okay. Then set the value of the input field to the state value. So in JSX or in React, when we declare a value, that is const, so const a equal to 5, then the variable can be accessed by using curly braces and a. So this is the way to access the variable. Okay, inside the curly braces. So the input so let's clearly read it. And the value of the input field, set the value of the input field as to do. So initial value of the to do is empty, and set the value to do. So nothing is happened here. So now we are going to access the data entered by the user. Okay, for that, what can we do? So for that, we are going to use an event handler onChange. So onChange is an event handler that trigger when the input field changed. Okay, so when we use the onChange event handler, this is going to store the value from the value when the input field get triggered. Okay. So just create an on-change event handler. And before that, we need to know how to update a state variable. Okay. So that I just created a new variable for count. So the state variable is count, and set count is the function to update the count variable, and set the initial value as 0. Okay. So just call the state variable by using the curly braces. So count inside the curly brace. Then we can see a 0 here. This is the count variable, and initial value of this state is 0. So we are going to update the 0 count variable. Okay. So I just create a button here, button to increment the count variable. So name it as increment. So when we click on the button, the count variable get increased by 1. Okay. So that is done by using the on-click event handler. When we click on the button, so that's it. We use on-click, then equal to, and not like in HTML. In React, the on-click follows the camel casing here. This that is the C is in caps. Okay. In HTML, the on-click is written by that is in HTML on-click equal to, and the rest of the values goes inside the single quotes or double quotes. But in React, it follows the camel casing and equal to, then in curly braces. So whenever we pass the function directly, so whenever we pass a function directly in an event handler, we must use arrow function. Okay. So arrow function is the concise form of a function, and in some cases, when we don't use the arrow function, when we directly calling some functions, it result in some errors. So that's why we're using arrow function here. Then arrow, then call the set count function. The set count function is to update the state variable. So we want, when we click on the button, we want the count variable is incremented by 1. So call the function to update the state variable set count. Then it's a function, so function bracket. Then pass the variable count here. Then count the plus 1. So whenever we click on the button, the count getting incremented by 1. So let's save. And in the application, when we click on the increment, so okay, here we can see the result is getting refreshed. The reason behind this is in in React.js, when we click on a button, we can see here is always refreshing, the form getting refreshing, because we use the form. Whenever we click the add button, the form getting refreshed. So here we use a form here. So this is the default behavior of React. In React.js, the form is controlled by the React components. And every time the state or something is getting updated, the form is getting refreshed or getting reloaded. So we can see the refresh button here. When we click on the add button, it is going to refresh. So to prevent this, we have to use a function prevent default. Okay, so let's see how to prevent the default behavior of a form. So that I just create a function. I just create an arrow function for on. Create the function name as handle submit. And arrow function. So it is the standard way. Arrow function is a standard way, and we can clearly know all the details, and it is a concise form of function. Okay. So here we are using an arrow function. Then in handle submit that using the prevent default method, we are going to cancel an event. So pass event as an argument to this function. So here we are going to cancel an event. So we pass an event as a argument to the function. Then for event dot prevent default. Prevent default is the method to prevent the default behavior of a form. That is, the form is getting rendered in every loading of the page. Okay. Okay. Then also in the form tab, there is an attribute on submit. So whenever the form is getting submit, call the function to it. Okay. So we want to prevent the default behavior. So it is the basic procedure when we're using a form tag in any of our application. So call create an on submit attribute and pass the handle submit function to the on submit. Okay. And save it. When we comes to our application, when we click on the add button, there is nothing is happened to the refresh button or okay. So when we click on the increment button, here we can see the count variable is changed because we set the on click event handler and update the function by count plus 1. Okay. Here we can see when we click the button, the count value getting incremented by 1. Okay. So that's a concept. I hope you understand how to create a state variable and how to update a state variable. Okay. So let's clear the count variable here. Okay. Button also. Just clear it. Okay. Now we are going to access the to do variable from the input field. Okay. So save it. Then we are going to access the data from the input field. So that we set the value of the input field as to do variable. Then in the on change event handler, the on change event handler, whenever we use the on change event handler, every time when the input field get changed, we can get the value from the input field when it get triggered. Okay. So on change equal to curly braces. So we are going to directly call a function here. So use arrow function. Then pass an event. Here we are. Here there is event occur here. Then event pass an event. Then update the state variable. Okay. So the current state variable is to do. Then we are going to update the to do variable using the set to do function. So set to do, and it is a function. So function bracket, and inside the function, we are going to target the value from the input field. So that e dot target dot value. So this statement helps to target the value from the input field. Okay. So save it, and nothing is happened here. When we enter some data and add, nothing is happened. So we want to simply call the to do variable here by using a curly brace. Access the to do variable that we created here. This is a state variable. Okay. So here the state variable is updated by the input field getting triggered. Okay. So here the value is updated to the to do variable. So whenever the user is enter some data, that is going to update the state. Okay. So whenever we save it, refresh. So whenever we enter some data, that we access the data by on change event handler and e dot target dot value. So we get the data here. So actually, this is not we want. When we click when we enter some data and when click on the button, the data will getting displayed. Okay. So let's clear this. Now we are going to okay. So now we are going to enter some data Then when we clicking the add button, it is going to store in an array. Okay. So we are going to store the input data into an array. So whenever we want to handle some data, we always use state hook. Okay. So this is the state variable to access the to do. That is the input from the uh, input field. Okay, data from the input field. But we need an array to store all the data. Okay, so that's it. That for that we want to create another state variable to storing an array. Okay, so name the state variable as to dos. That it is the list of to do. Okay, from the input field we get a to do, and we are going to save that to do into an array. Okay, so storing the array variables, we are going to create another state of to dos. Then there is a function to update the state variable. So set the to dos. Then set the initial value as an empty array. Okay, here the initial value set the initial value of the to dos is an empty array. So we are going to add the data into the or push the data into the empty array. So what to do? Okay. So let's see. So whenever we click on the add button, the to do data is going to stored on the to dos array. So let's create another function to execute that. So add data is the function name. Then okay, then here we are going to update the to do. Okay, update the to dos list. Here is a to do, and the initial value is as an empty object. Okay, and before that we should know the JavaScript concept, spread operator. So if you don't know the spread operator, let's consider an example here. So for that, create another state. It is to clear the concept. It is this state is to make clear the concept of a spread operator. Spread operator is a JavaScript concept, and here we using spread operator. So if you don't know the spread operator, I will make it clear. And so for that, I just create a state variable car and set car to update the car variable, and set the initial value of the car as an empty object. Set the initial value of the car as an object. Okay, so object, what is object? Object is key value pair, some key value pairs. So here car is an object and it has a property and a value. So object is a key value pairs and it is right inside a curly braces. So here there is some key or properties to the car object. So one of the properties color and the value is red and comma. Then another property is name, value as any name. Okay, then comma. Here the value Mandy. Okay, so this so here is a car object and set state variable, which is a state variable, and set car is the function to update the car, and the initial value is an object with properties color, name, and year. So if we want to access the data, then we have to call by using the curly braces, then object name dot the property. Okay. So here property is color. To access the color, object name dot its property. So color is a property. Then BR tag. So BR tag in HTML is simply creating the BR tag like this. But in React, there is a rule that every tag has a closing tag. Close tag itself. Okay. So when we using empty tags, we must close it by using self close. Okay. So that's it. So self close BR tag. Then car dot name to access the property name. Then a BR tag. then car dot year. So let's see. So we can see red BMW and 1970. So now we are going to change. Now we are going to change the property color red to blue. Okay, with a button click. So create a button here. So button tag. Then name as change. Then in the on-click event, I'm going to update the state by calling the setCar method. So add a function, then setCar, and there's a function. So open the function bracket. Then now we are going to change the color to blue. Okay, so that curly braces. This is an object. So this is curly braces here. This curly braces. Okay. Then we are going to change the color of the car. Okay. So call the property color and then colon. Then inside the semicolon, we have to specify the color that we want to change. Okay. So let's save it. And when it comes to our application, we are displaying a button and also the data. When we click on the change, we can see the color is getting changed, red to blue, but other data is getting lost. Okay, other data is vanished. That is because of whenever we are updating an object or an array, when we make changes, there might be a possibility to loss of other data. Okay, so this can be prevented by using the spread operator. So let's see how spread operator help this. And for that, in the setCar updation, we have to use the spread operator. So it's purely JavaScript concept. Spread operator. The spread operator symbol is 3 dots. Whenever we want to use spread operator, use 3 dots here. So these 3 dots simplify the spread operator, and then we are going to spread some data here. That we are going to spread the car. So this spread operator copy some value of the car. Going to copy. So we can see accounts, car, color, string, name, string, year, string, and this is going to spread here. So first, use 3 dots and spread the car state variable here. So when we spreading the car, that means here we spreading the properties color, name, and year here, and only change the color to blue. Okay, so let's see the difference. Then refresh it. Okay, here we can see red BMW and 1970. Then we change. Okay, the red is changed to blue, and the other data still remain the same. Okay. So that's it. I hope you understand what's a spread operator. So that's it. So just clear it all. Okay. Now to update the function, update the to do, we are going to use the spread operator. So in this add data function, so add data function is used to execute when the user enters some data. It's going to user enters some data. It's going to add into a array. Okay, here is an array variable to do's, and to do is the input field data, and that data is going to store on the to do's variable. So that we create an add data function here, and inside the function, so we are going to update the to do. Right? Set the to do's. We are going to update the array. Okay. And we are going to store this data to this array. So that set to do is a function. So open the function bracket, and inside the function bracket, we are going to use a spread operator. So that's it. It is a array. So use the square bracket. We are going to change this array. So use the square bracket. Then after that, spread the to do into the array. So spread, use the spread operator. That is the 3 dot, then to do variable. Okay. So to do. Sorry, we are going to spread the first we are going to spread the array, then passing the to-do variable. Okay. So spreading the to-dos. To-dos is the array. Then first we spread the array, then comma, we are passing this to-do variable to this array. So to-do. Okay. And this console.log of to-dos. Let's console the to-dos array and call the add data function in the add button. So in on click, call the add data function. So add data. Okay, save it and open the console window and split. Then open the console window. Then when we enter some data and add, here it we can see an array here. So we can see the to-do is stored in the array. Okay, so this is not we want. When we click on the add button, the to-do is going to display here. So how to do that? So let's remove the console. Close it. Then for that we are using a map function. So map function is an array function, array handling function, and it is also the concept of a JavaScript. So let's see what's a map function. For that, consider if we have an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something. Okay. Then if we want to operate these elements or these data in the array, we use the map function. So map function to that contain all the data that's stored in the array variable. So in a map function, if you use a map function, so in JavaScript, use curly braces. Okay. In this curly braces, we use the map function. So curly brace, then array dot map. We are going to map the array, map this array. So array dot map is a function, array handling function. So function bracket. So inside the function bracket, I am passing a parameter here, num. So in this num parameter, we get all the data that is stored in the array variable, and we are going to display the array simply by calling the parameters. Okay, so we can see the array data here. Okay, so this is a map function. If you want to operate or want to perform some functions, then we can simply call the map function. So map function is a array handling function here. Okay, so let's clear it. And here for display the set to dos, display the to do array, we are going to use the map function here. Okay, so for that, create a div here, and under the div, we are going to list the data. So UL tags, then the list tag, and here we are going to use the map function. So in curly braces, and map is an array handling function. So we are going to handle the to-dos array. So to-dos dot map, then function bracket, then function, open the function bracket. Inside the bracket, we pass a parameter here. Just pass value. Then in this value, we get all the data that's stored in the to-dos array. So here it display with the help of an li tag. When in curly braces, access the value. So in this value parameter, we get the data that's stored in the to-dos array. So access the value parameter by inside the curly braces. So value, and save it. And okay, refresh it, when we enter some data, hello, and click on the ad, getting displayed here. And so getting displayed here. Okay. And also we want to clear this to do after enter this data. Okay. So for that, onto the on-click function, just update the to do. So this is the to do variable here. Welcome is the to do that is stored in the to do variable. So now we are going to empty the input field by updating the set to do function, calling the set to do function. So set to do to null. When we click on the add data, set the to do as null and save it. Refresh it. So enter some data, then add. So it's getting empty. Okay. Then welcome. Then add. So this is almost here. Almost. So now we are going to create 3 buttons to make different functions here. So now we are going to make 3 buttons for delete, complete, and edit the to-dos. Okay. So let's create that. So for creating, in the span tag here. So inside the li, okay. And create a span tag. And inside the span tag, we are going to create 3 buttons. I'm just simply creating a simple button. You can also use icons here for delete, edit, and complete. I'm not going to show all of these details. I'm simply creating a 3 buttons here. You can use like this. That is, you can use like icons as like this. So in this example, I'm not going to show the entire detailing, just simply creating 3 buttons. So button for delete, then a button for edit, and a button for complete. Okay, so save it. Okay, here are the 3 buttons. You can style it on your way. So I just don't include the styling. We are only focusing on the functionality. So that's it. And when we click on the delete button, the data is going to delete. When we click on the edit, it is going to edit the data and then complete to complete the data. So let's check the functionalities behind this button. So, okay. If we want to delete, complete, edit, then you need a ID for all this data. You need a unique ID for collect the data from a to-dos, array to-do. Okay, so we need a unique ID for each of the data. So how to create an ID? So in this set to do, when in the set to do function, we are going to change this, and we are passing an object to it. So to do is the object variable, and we are passing an object to it. So object, then passing value as the property, then property value become this to do. So to do, then comma, then we need an ID. So to do variable is stored in the property value, and the ID is going to store in the property ID. So this object is this is the array object, object within the array. Okay, so value as to do. Then here we pass it, spreading the to dos, empty to do array. Then passing an object here. So object properties are value and ID, and value as the to do variable and ID as the. So then here now we are going to create unique IDs for each and every to dos in the to dos array. Okay, so we can use any other methods to create this unique ID. Now I am going to create a date.now function. So this date.now function that and returns the number of milliseconds elapsed since midnight. Okay, so that's it. When we pass the date.now function to the ID value, it is store the unique ID to each to dos in the list, and also creating another property status and set the values by default false. Okay. So it is for the complete button. Okay. So set the status as false. By default, set the status as false and ID as date.now function and value to do. Okay. So if we here we using the todos.map function, here we access the value. This value now it becomes an object. Okay. So we want to access the to do. So then value. That is this is the property. Okay. And this property stores the to do. So when we want to access an object, call the object name, then dot the property name. So here it is an object now and dot the property name. So here you get confused because two values. So let's change this value to some to do or something. Then you can also change this to do and to do dot value. So to do is in this to do parameter we get all the data that's stored in the to do array. Then to do is now an object. So object dot calling the property value. So to do dot value here and save it and refresh. Okay, so the to do dot value is displayed here. Now all the to do variables has its own ID, unique IDs. So with the help of this ID, we're just going to execute the delete, edit and complete button. So first we are going to delete the to do. So that we need different three functions, one for delete, one for edit and one for complete. So create the function before all the functions and variables are always defined before the return statement. Okay, so create the function for delete. So const delete, then a function for edit, then a function for complete. Okay, so write the code for delete function. So the logic behind the delete function is whenever we click onto the delete button, okay, delete button, accept the data, the balance of the data is getting displayed. Okay, so except this data, the rest of all the to dos are going to display here. So that's the logic here we are going to apply. So this delete function call the array. So we can find the data from this array. So call the array to dos. So to dos. This array stores the data that enter into the input field. Okay. So to dos dot we are going to filter some data. So there is a JavaScript function filter that is used to filter some specific data from a particular list. So as by the name, it is going to filter a data. Okay. So this filtering is based on the ID. So that is based on the ID. So just pass the ID here. So when we click on the delete button, So here we need an onClick. Then when we, so here we passing the function, delete function here, and also pass an argument or a parameter to this function. So we are passing todo.id. That todo is the object. Okay, and todo.id that is todo.value is displaying here. The ID of this value is by todo.id. So todo. So in curly braces, pass todo dot id. Sorry, todo dot id. Pass todo dot id as the parameter. Then we get the id of the value that when we click on the delete button. So we passing the id. So we are checking based on the id here, and also creating an argument for the parameter. So I just create an id as an argument. Then todos dot filter. Filter is a JavaScript function. So function, open the function bracket, and in the function bracket we also pass a parameter to the filter function. So something you that's a variable that you want to use. Okay, I just create two as a parameter here. Then arrow function. Then we are going to return the rest of the data except the data that we are going to delete. Okay, when we click on the delete button, rest of the data is getting displayed except that data. Okay, so so to execute that, in this two parameter we can access the data in the to-dos array. Okay, we get the data from the to-dos array in this parameter. So to.id not equal to this id. Here we passing a id here. Okay, so here we checking the id. Here there is an iteration happen and check each of the arrays, each of the list in the array to the id that we are passing here. Whenever we find an id that id that matches, then we are going to return the rest of the list and update the array. Okay, rest of the list except the data going to be deleted. Okay, so that's it, and we are going to update that. So this set to dos, update the array by set to dos, and okay, so save it. Also we call the delete and pass the parameters todo.id. Then find the data that we click data that when we click the delete button, and it's going to display the rest of the data except the data that we are going to delete, and then we update the array. Okay, so let's see the result. Just refresh, save it, then refresh. So then we enter some data. Hello. And when we click on the delete button, the data is going to remove. That the logic is rest of the array is displayed here except the data that we deleted. Okay, so when we click on the delete button, that data are going to delete. Data are deleted. Okay, so click delete. Data is getting deleted. So now we want to edit. Now we want to complete. So edit is little complex or little tricky. So first we let's see how the complete button works. Okay, so here also we need an onClick event handler, then the function, then complete function, then pass. Here also pass the id todo.id. Here we check based on this id that we are passing here. Okay, so in the complete function, use a argument ID to access that ID that we passed there. And now, so what's the logic behind the complete button when the user enters some data? When we click on the complete, it's going to get strike. Okay, it's going to strike the data. That is that it shows the data is completed. For that, by default, we use the property status and set the value as false. Then when we click on the because complete is going to change as true. Okay. If you get the result, we just going to create a class name here. Class name just list, and when we go to todo.css dot list and set set the style as text decoration line through and line through. Okay, we'll save it. Okay, so the data is getting striped, but this is not we want. When we click on the complete button, then it becomes striped. Okay, so that okay, so that we use a ternary operator here. That is whenever the status of the to do getting changed, the default status is false here. Whenever the status is getting changed to true, then this style want to apply. Okay, so for that status to do dot status then checking here, this is the condition here, then separate it with question mark. If the condition is true, then we have to apply the this is set to the class name. Okay, so class name equal to change the style to list. Okay, so that's it. So in the edit, so in the complete function, now we are going to so just create a variable complete here and equal to. Then here we are going to use a map function. So call the to-dos array and to-dos array dot map. Open the function bracket and pass the parameter list. Then we are going to check a condition here. If list dot in this list we get the data from the array. Okay, so here is a list is an object. So list dot id equal to this id. Okay, if this id is equal to the id that we pass, then we are going to change the status of this status to true. Okay, by default it is setting as a false. Then if the list dot id is equal to this id, then we are going to change the status. So return in curly braces. This is an object, so use the curly braces, and we are using a spread operator. First we spread the spread the array here to list, and then change the status to not not list dot status. That is, this not statement is used to get with the true. Okay, here we return the list and then change the status to list dot the status, not list dot status. So, okay, then update it. To update the array with the complete variable. Okay. Okay. So that's it. And when we click on the complete button, it gets striped. Okay. So the logic is, by default, set the status as false and pass then change the list with change the status of the list as, or status of the to do as the opposite, that is true. Then return the list and update the array function. Update the array. Okay, to do array. Okay. Then back. Then we again click into the complete button. So this happened. So that's it. That's all about the complete function. And now we need the edit button. Okay. So for edit, here also a function is created in the edit tag. Then edit function. So the logic behind the edit button is, when we click on the edit button, this data is going to display in the to-do list in the input field. And then then we change the data, clicking the add button, that is going to store here. Okay. So for the edit button, we need another state variable. So I just create a state for edit button. So state variable is edit ID. Then update function is set edit ID. Set edit ID. And set the default, set the initial value as 0. Okay. Initial value as 0. To do equal to do's. We are going to find the data. Find the data from the to do array, to do's array. So that create a variable and to do's dot filter. We are going to filter to find the data, and inside the bracket passing in parameter and find the ID. To.id equal to ID. Okay. So in this edit.todo variable is stored by the object. So just console. So let's console what is edit. So you get confused. So pass an ID as an argument. Console tab, console window. So console. when we enter some data, we click on the in the onClick function, call the edit function here and pass the parameter to-do.id also and save it and refresh. So when we enter some data and add an object, array object here. So the value is with an object. Okay. So we get an object here. Now we are going to set the to-do. Function set the to-do, call the set to-do to update the to-do variable and pass edit to-do dot this to-do. We want to pass so edit to-do dot value. We can save it and comes to the result. So does. So in this input field, we pass value as to do. So change the value to to do dot value. Pass it as an object. On the edit button. The to-do is going to update here. Set the to-do bracket edited to-do dot the value. So save it. Refresh and enter some data. What's happening here? Oh, sorry. Just console the edit to do dot value here. Console dot log edit to do dot value. Save. undefined. So the mistake is we use function instead of the find function. Okay. So here we are going to find a specific ID. Instead the find method, I just use the phrase of the mistake. Sorry. So so I just use use filter method instead of find. So that's the that click the button. When clicking the edit button, we get the result in the tab here in the input tab. So now we are going to check. Okay. When we change provide the feature, and in this edit function also set so initially the edit ID's value is 0, and then going to update the 0 value to something else. So just console edit to do.id. So save it. Enter some data, and we click on the edit button. We can see here is an ID. So our edit ID contain the ID of this data that we are going to edit. Okay. And okay. So there is also React provider feature here. In the add button, we can pass the ternary operator. So use the ternary, and if this variable edit ID has some value, currently the value is 0. When we click the edit button, the value is getting updated to the ID of the data. Then if the value contain any data or any ID, edit ID, then display delete. Otherwise, add. Okay. So this result, when we refresh it. Initially, this is the add button. Add button here. When we enter some data, then add, and when we uh, click on the edit button, the add button is getting changed to edit. So the reason behind this, when we click the edit button, the edit ID state variable is getting changed to or getting updated to the ID of that data. If the edit ID contain any value, then the button is going to change with edit. Otherwise, it display add. Okay. So when we click on the add data, if edit ID, that is, if edit ID contains some data, then pass data, create a variable const edit to do equal to, then we are going to find a data. So to do's dot find ID equal to edit ID. So when it finds data, that data object is going to store in the edit to do variable. Then also create another variable update to do for update the array. So we are going to iterate the check the array list. Okay, so for that to do's dot map, then pass a parameter to do or something. 12 to do dot id equal to check with the edit id of edit to do. Okay, so the to do dot id equal to edit check the clicking data. When we click on a button, that data with the edit to do dot id. Okay, so to operate all the data, to access all the data in the to-do list. Okay, so to do, pass a parameter as a to do, then to do dot id equal to edit this going to execute to do equal to, now the to do contain an object. Okay, so we have changed the edit ID state variable. When we get the edit ID state variable, this data is going to change. When we replace this data with another data, this is going to change this data into that data. Okay, so the to do is an object. Here we are passing ID. ID as the same ID here, to do dot ID. That is, we want to change the data in the same ID. Okay, if hello has an ID, just consider the ID of hello as 1. Then we find the data. We want to change the hello to hi, and this hi to replaced in the same ID. Okay, so the ID is the same ID. Then it is going to update with the to do. What is to do? Here to do is the input hello. Okay, then we going to change the hello hi. Then the to do is going to update. To do is updated to hello hi. Then in the same ID we are passing the to do here. Okay. So to do dot value. Okay. Passing. To oh, okay. First the to do variable. To do variable is this variable. Okay. So this variable is this. Okay. And we are going to change this with the to do variable. That's it. Otherwise, to do equal to ID is same ID, but data is from the to do dot the ID. But data is the data from the array list. Okay, that we are not going to change. If the ID is find, if we find the ID, then we are going to update the state with the to do variable. Okay, so and then another data and we click the delete button, it's getting deleted. When it complete, it's complete. When we click the edit button, this data is going to replace here. And when we change the data, so when we edit the data, that is going to edit this data. Okay, so that we need to update the set to do, update the array. The map function is closed after that. Okay. Set the to-dos to update to do. Okay. Then also set the edit ID to set the edit ID to 0. Otherwise, it follows infinite loop. So please change if now the edit ID value is some ID of a data. Then in the set edit ID, you have to change the change to 0. Okay. Otherwise, it get an infinity loop here. Then also set to do to an empty. Then return. So in some data, we're clicking X, then we click on the edit button. Sorry. The edit button, this ID is going to change to do. Otherwise, sorry, to do start map, then passing a parameter here, then setting set for to do.id equal to edit today id, then equal to same id to today row, then we sorry, this to do. We're going to, if we get an edit ID, then it will set a condition. So if it is, if the condition is satisfied, then it will return the to ID is the same ID that we are passing here, and update the data to the to do. Okay. Otherwise, it is also same ID to d.id and set the to do as d.id. This to do. Sorry for the delay. But I can't find the error here. Uh, this happened here. We have to pass the property here. So value is 1 minute. Let me check. Okay. G.N. Mm, G.N. Mm,
It's okay, Shweta, you can continue. It's okay.
Okay, thank you. Personal identity values. Okay, 1 minute. Let me check. Okay, I will explain it later. Okay. I think it takes some time. Sorry, I can't find the mistake here. Sorry, ma'am. So I'm conclude here. Thank you for your valuable.
Okay, Shifna, it's okay. Thank you for a wonderful presentation.